هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة أما بعد. We are on the blessed curry of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aisha radiallahu anha says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said, "What a nice curry vinegar is." Hani radiallahu anha says that a cousin of Rasulullah, she was a cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hani is also the person. What is Hani known for? Let's see who knows. She's known for one thing very specifically. Or actually a couple of things, but one major thing. A couple of major things, but one extremely major thing.
Yes.
Huh?
Is she the mother of Anas ibn Malik?
No, it's Salama. From her house, the Prophet ﷺ went to Mi'raj. From the house of Hani. The house of Hani is located, if you go into the Haram, now the whole Haram has been changed up, but where Bab al-Malik Fahad is, you enter from Bab al-Malik Fahad. So you have two main gates. You have Bab Abdul Aziz, which is gate number 1, faces towards the clock tower. And then Bab Malik Fahad faces towards the Hilton. When you walk towards Bab Malik Fahad, you cross through the new extension of Malik Fahad, then you enter the Ottoman side. And you should be somewhat, maybe to your right side a little bit, will be where the Multazam is, where the Hatim is, right? That white little brick area. So while you're still on the Ottoman floor, you will walk a little more towards your right. You'll pass about 2 subsections. That area was where Hani's house was, and the Prophet ﷺ descended to the heavens from there. Rasulullah ﷺ came to my house, and he asked me, "What's there to eat, auntie?" And I replied that there is nothing but dry bread, some breadsticks, and vinegar. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Bring it. This house, the house that has vinegar in it, is not empty of food, because this is a whole curry. Not korma, butter chicken, karai gosht, no. Just vinegar was the curry. Vinegar is something that you put inside your soup, your chicken corn soup. It's just something small that you put in. That was the Prophet's meal, vinegar." Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu anhu says, this is one of the youngest Sahaba. He was about 6 years old when Rasulullah ﷺ passed away. And there's a famous hadith that he's known for, the hadith of giving gifts to your children. In Bukhari, Prophet ﷺ his father came to the Prophet ﷺ holding him in the hand. He said, "Are you not in the luxuries of eating and drinking? Whereas I have seen Rasulullah ﷺ not having ordinary types of dates to fill his stomach." Not even that the Prophet ﷺ had, there's one thing is really good dates, there's one thing is generic dates, and one thing is like the Dollar Tree, Walmart standard dates, right? He said the Prophet ﷺ would eat Walmart type dates. He wouldn't even have the luxury of eating Sam's Club dates or something even better, but he would have the lowest quality of dates. Basically the dates that are made in, just give me 1 second, this live stream stopped connecting, but okay. Zahdam al-Jarmi radiallahu anhu says that we were present in the assembly of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu. Fowl meat was served for food. What's a fowl? A bird. Abu Musa radiallahu anhu asked him the reason for doing so. So a person from amongst those present moved back. So they brought a bread. Sometimes there's a certain food that you don't like to eat. For example, someone brings paya or something weird that you've never heard of before. How many people are from Bangladesh here? Nobody? Not even one?
Someone's family or somebody's parents were.
There's a dish in Bangladesh called shutki. Has anyone heard of shutki? What's shutki?
Fish. I don't want to describe it.
That's moss.
Here's the Bengali.
Fish is moss.
Yeah, that's fish. You're the parents. My parents are Bengali, but
No. I live with a Bengali.
I'm West Pakistani. Shutki is a fish that they purposely rot the fish, and then they eat it. Right? So whoever makes shutki, then they don't have a problem with food ever being stale, because the older the food is, the better it tastes. So I've actually had shutki in Bangladesh. It's not that bad. Is that halal? At that time, I was like, do I take the smell or I just eat it quickly so the smell leaves? He replied, I had seen the fowl eat something dirty. Right? I saw that animal eat something dirty. Before I walked into the house, I saw an animal eating something dirty. And I was like, all right, next thing I know, that animal was slaughtered and put in before me. So he said, I said, wallahi, that I will not eat it. Because that animal was eating all the crap off the floor. Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, in that case, I had seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat the meat of a fowl. Which means, obviously, that there's nothing wrong with eating a fowl. There's a very long discussion in the fiqh of eating. If an animal, a chicken or any animal, eats filth, then for 3 days you can't eat that animal. You have to wait till that filth leaves their system. And after 3 days it's permissible to slaughter. Safina radiallahu anha says, I ate the meat of hubara with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the same thing as a fowl. Abu Usayd radiallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, use olive oil in eating and for rubbing on the body, for it is a form of from a Mubarak tree. Olive oil is blessed. One time this person saw, he had a stomachache and he had a dream. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in his dream. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I have this stomach pain. And I had a friend in South Africa as well who had such a stomach pain that just wouldn't go away. Went to every doctor, every single type of treatment, the pain would not go away. And then it was diagnosed that a jinn did another on him. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. But, so then what do you call Rasulullah sallallahu, so then that person sees a dream with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their dream. And he asked, he asked Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm having this stomach pain, what should I do? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, use the oil, use la wala. La wala. So he said, what's la wala? Right? Who knows the ayah, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, mathulu nurihi? Kamishkatin fiha? Misbah. Al-misbahu fi? Az-zujaja. Az-zujajatu ka'annaha? Kawkabun? Sharqiyatun? I'm not a hafiz, I'm trying to get someone to help me out here. So in the Quran, Allah says, La sharqiyyatun wa la gharbiyya. That the quality of olive oil is that when it lights, the candle does not sway to its right or to its left. The light does not, but it illuminates everything. La sharqiyya wa la gharbiyya. Not to the east and not to the west, but it illuminates everything. La sharqiyyatun wa la gharbiyya. So la sharqiyya wa la gharbiyya. Prophet said, La wala. Use la wala. So from there, the interpreter of the dream interpreted that the Prophet ﷺ meant olive oil. Use olive oil to cure your stomach. The Prophet ﷺ has mentioned many benefits. Allah says in the Quran, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونَ. Allah takes oath on the olive oil. وَالزَّيْتُونَ, on the zayt is olive oil. Zaytun is an olive itself. This shows you that in the Quran, Allah only takes oaths on things that hold an extreme amount of importance or extreme amount of benefit. وَالشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ. Allah takes oath on the sun. Allah takes oath on the moon. So when Allah says, وَالزَّيْتُونَ, it's not that Allah's trying to make you, in Ramadan time, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونَ, trying to get you hungry or something. No. The whole point of وَالزَّيْتُونَ is to show you the extreme amount of benefits that olive has. Going back to the hadith before this, in another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam walks home, asks Aisha radiallahu anha, what's there to eat? She said, Ya Rasulullah, al-khil, only vinegar. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ni'mal al-idah wal-khil. That isn't the best of curries vinegar? Isn't this such an amazing curry? What do you mean there's nothing? There's everything here. There's vinegar. SubhanAllah, imagine going home and you go to your wife and say, John was there to eat today. And she says, oh, I came from the Shomai'l class today and we have so much vinegar. Distilled. I'm not trying to give you guys a new what do you call next thing you know, the Shomai'l class will be banned. Everyone's going to go home and they're going to see olive oil and vinegar. So today we have 2 things on the menu with some dried breadsticks. So, Anas bin Malik, so this shows the simplicity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whenever we get invited to someone's house, what is the first thing we do when we leave? We start rating their food. We go to a wedding and we start saying, this wedding's food was meh. Oh, this walima's food was, this is what we do. Whereas the Rasul of Allah, just vinegar. And then from this you can understand how much israf, how much wastage we do in our weddings, our walimas, and our parties. We have a dawah that we want to show. You see, when I was in Bangladesh, one of the most unique things about Bangladesh was that they're very hospitable people, extremely. They don't have electricity, they don't have stoves, but they, mashallah, will put an 8-dish meal in front of you. They'll hunt chicken, goats, fish, everything. And then there's no electricity, to see the food, so they'll light candles. Right? And on top of that, they don't have enough stoves to cook that much food, so they only have one stove, and the way they would heat it up would be through fire or through a gas, and they would cook 8 dishes on that one stove. So the dishes would be cold, but it was that they want to be hospitable to you, right? So I mean, I've seen people who had nothing, and they gave us such a spread of table that it shows you the reality of individuals. That true generosity stems from here. It's from the heart, right? And so while I was in Bangladesh, there was a point I wanted to mention that Bangladesh made me forget it. But if it comes back to my mind, I'll say it.
Simplicity.
Huh?
Simplicity. Food.
The simplicity, but there was something else I wanted to say along with the simplicity. The wastage of food that we have in our parties. Buffets, good point. So now when you go to someone's house, now when I was in Bangladesh, now I can't speak the language because I'm not from Bangladesh, so that person's just trying to plop food in my plate. Right? Everyone's just so excited, they want to throw in. This is an etiquette I'm trying to teach you. When you go somewhere, the purpose of a buffet or a variety of food is not that you try every single thing. This is a common misconception. So, oh, you didn't try the sabzi. Oh, you didn't try the chicken. I have one stomach. I don't have a reservoir here. You know, I'm not going to put the food in my pocket or my, what do you call, Tupperware. But this is one human being. So now, this is another point. When you go to someone's house and you eat the food is ibahatul isti'mal. They don't make you owners of the food. So you can't put samosas in your pocket and walk out. Right? It's called ibahatul isti'mal, means that while you're there, you can utilize it. You can't go in their bathroom and say, oh, mashallah, they invited me home, put the toothpaste in the pocket, a couple of toothbrushes. No, it's not permissible. Or go to the Sheraton and say, oh, I paid for the hotel room, starts taking towels and plates and cutlery. Some people's homes I go to and I see hotel food, hotel cutlery there. And I don't even want to know how we got there. So now, the etiquette, the reason that there's multiple types of food on a table is that every person has a different personality. Someone likes vegetables, someone likes chicken. So you give them a variety. So based on that, each person eats what their temperament allows them. The purpose is never, and this should be corrected in society, the purpose is never that I must try every single thing. The purpose is never that I have to eat from every single thing. Otherwise, this is against a person's nature. You go to a buffet, and over subhanAllah, there's 10 dishes, and everyone wants to try every single thing in the dish because I paid $10.99 for it. Right? No. You take. You don't waste, no matter, look at subhanAllah, buffets, how much food do we waste? We take the plate that we eat in, oh no, it's against etiquette for us to go grab to take the same plate back. Okay, fine, you want to do that, which I'm against, but at least finish the first plate. Don't sit there, mashallah, make a whole Jabalut Ta'am, mountain of biryani, mountain of nihari, and subhanAllah, you're saying, you know, even though, I'm not eating it, but I'm going to make sure that I charge $40 worth of food in this hotel. And even if I waste, it doesn't matter. At least I took my full money's worth. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that squash, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam loved squashed. Gurd, this is called squash. Once food was presented to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or he attended an invitation. The narrator doesn't remember whether someone brought the food or the Prophet was invited for a party, where squash was served. I knew Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam loved it. So I searched for the pieces in the curry and presented to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He loved squash, right? Kaddu, right? So there was a Sahabi, Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu's son. He said when he told his son that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved squash, he said, you know, I like it, but if what's your name? What's his name? Hassan. Leave that door a little bit open in the back so that people who are going in and out, it doesn't disturb anything. Because
I was just doing it so the AC, the rooms didn't get too hot, so the AC works. I'll keep it rolling.
So now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu's son says that, yeah, you know, the Prophet likes squash, but I don't really resonate with it too well. So he said, أقول لك أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I tell you that the Prophet ﷺ loved it, and you tell me you don't like it? He said, from today onwards, I'll never speak to you again. Now, what is the reason why our parents don't speak to us? Because I'm dating Jessica, or I married this guy, or this. Over there, their parents tripped out because he didn't want to eat squash. Right? He said, I'm telling you, the Rasul of Allah ﷺ. This shows the love that they had for Rasulullah ﷺ. This shows the affection that they carried for Nabi ﷺ, that what the Prophet of Allah loved, we love it as well. You know, أمر على الديار ديار ليلى أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار وما حب الديار شغفن قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. You know Romeo and Juliet, right? So the Arabs have their own Romeo and Juliet. It's called Layla and
Sikhs have it too.
yeah, but his name's not Majnun. His name is Qais, right? His name is Qais. These were real people, right? This guy was a real solid stalker. He was please keep that door closed. Anyone wants to come from around, from there. It's fine, but for next time, please keep the door closed. So then, what was I talking about? Stalker. So Rasulullah, so this man was an official stalker, and he was very creepy, but everyone loved him, right? And his poems became famous, and everyone knows them. So in one poem, he goes into the city of Layla, and Majnun actually means crazy, because he was crazy for her. He goes into the city of Layla, and he's walking around, and he's touching the walls, and he's touching the floor, and he's kissing it, and he sees the dog on the street, and he kisses the dog. So someone comes and they said, that, what are you doing, man? This is pretty weird, right? One thing is you're weird, we're cool with that, but this is extra weird, right? We're not even cool with this. So he was like, no. They said, but this is not Layla, why are you kissing it? He said, this is not Layla, but it is in the city of Layla. أمر على الديار ديار ليلى. I go through the city of Layla. أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار. I kiss this wall and this wall. وما حب الديار شغفن قلبي. I have no love for this wall nor for this dog. ولكن حب من سكن الديار. Just because it is called the dog in the city of Layla. It enjoys the nisbah. We go to the haram of Allah. We go into Makkah Mukarramah. We go around the Kaaba. We circumambulate around the Kaaba again and again. It is not the Kaaba. In Masjid al-Nabawi, we go through Madinah al-Munawwarah. It's not the Masjid. أمر على الديار ديار ليلى أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار وما حب الديار شغفن قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. This is the house of Allah. It has the nisbat of Allah to it. This is the city of Rasulullah. This has the nisbat of Rasulullah to it. Now, because it has the nisbat of Rasulullah, it's close to my heart. I told you this story before, I think, that sheikh who got a gift of a scarf. Someone said from Medina, Munawwarah, he said, Sheikh, he started kissing it and putting it. So what are you doing? This has nothing to do with Medina. It wasn't even made there. It was made in China. He said it was made in China, but the wind of Medina momentarily passed upon it. And it has come into my heart. This is love. Ishq. It doesn't make sense to me. But because the Rasul of Allah said it, he did it, I'm going to do it as well. I don't want to do it, but I never liked squash. But if I see a dish with squash, I will take squash. Just because the Rasul of Allah did it. Now, where it comes about the squash, this is the fiqh discussion now. Rasulullah Aisha radiallahu anha says that the Prophet never ever desired a certain type of food. There was no special food the Prophet liked. So yes, if it was present, he ate it. In this hadith, it says that the Prophet ﷺ specifically liked squash. So the conciliation between the two hadith is that Aisha radiallahu anha says that the Prophet ﷺ wasn't a dunyawi person. He wasn't a worldly person that he liked to go and have biryani from this restaurant or go and have elevation burger or go and do halal guys. No. The Prophet of Allah ate. But what was in front of him, there was certain food that he liked. Right? It doesn't mean, what she's trying to say is that don't think that the Prophet ﷺ went around and be like, oh, I want to eat squash today. No, he never made demands. We go home and we say, what did you make? Dal chawal? Oh, I wanted to eat biryani. Okay, tomorrow I'll make biryani. What did you make? Biryani? Oh, I wanted to eat dal chawal. Okay. Tomorrow, what do you make? Dal chawal. Doesn't make a difference. Whatever it makes, you want to have something else, right? Al-mar'u harisun ala ma muni'a. Right? A person likes what he doesn't have. A person wants what he doesn't have. You're married to a girl, but you like her sister. Right? Now, you never liked her before. You like her sister? Yeah, they're being very open and straightforward with you guys. If anyone feels offended, again, I'm being very open. You like this person? No, but you like his friend now. This is reality. It's because we have lost the ability of being grateful to Allah. It starts with small things. It might sound as a joke that, oh, you know what? But this is reality. How many of us know that we're يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ? Now don't go home and start asking your husband, who do you like? Right? But the question is that it starts from something small. When a person has gratefulness ingrained in them, then he's grateful for every single thing. She's grateful for every single thing. But when a person is ungrateful, then they don't recognize any ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu says, a tailor once invited Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why does he say a tailor? don't only go to a house where they're going to serve you good and lavish food, but even if someone tells you to partake in a cup of tea, in a cup of water, go there, sit with them, is because it is not what they're offering, but it is with what heart they're offering. Don't look at someone simple or something. No. Even if it's something simple, share it with them. There's nothing wrong with it, but it humbles you. Don't go only places that, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to this event is because it's all flashy and it looks nice. No. But go anywhere. Bring this into yourself. That don't be materialistic that every single thing has to be ala shart al-shaykhain, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim's level. Right? It has to be very, very highly elevated and extremely good, and only then I'm going to partake in it. He served Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam bread made of barley and gravy with meat and squash in it. I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam go for the pieces of squash. From that time, I also began loving the squash. Now, this is another meaning to it as well, which means that we all know what happens to us when that dish comes of either chicken wings or meat salad or biryani. You all have the eyes and you count on top of your head how many pieces of meat are there. And then you quickly do a quick ratio, how many people are here. So if there are 12 pieces of meat and there are 4 of us, all right, each one of us will get 3. Right? Mentally you put it in your mind. Now if there happens to be 5, then there's a problem. Right? Because 5 go into 12, it doesn't work out. So now you're worried about who is going to get those extra 2-3 pieces. And he said, no, brother, I'm doing it for barakah. Because we should finish the plate. So I'm taking the barakah from you, I want to finish. The Rasul of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what this hadith is trying to point is that what is better, meat or squash or vegetable? Meat. Unless you're vegan, right? Generally, people will opt for meat. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one thing is the Prophet loved squash. Another thing is the love that he had for the Sahaba, that he knows my Sahaba are hungry. Why would I go for the meat? Let me go for the squash so the meat goes into the stomach of my Sahaba. When was the last time that we sat down and said, you know what, I'm going to leave this, I'm going to let someone else have it. I'm not going to eat to my full. I'm going to take this plate of meat or some food, I'm going to go give it to my neighbor. My mother, may Allah give her a long life and bless her, she has a very good habit. When she cooks food, our neighbors are Muslim. She cooks, which is probably not very strange over here, but in New Jersey it is. Right? In suburbs, having a Muslim neighbor is something that's unique. So my mother, she cooks extra food whenever she's making something good. Anytime she's making something special, she makes extra food proper. That's the way she's serving us. And while it is still hot, she would tell us that go and give it to the neighbor. And if one of us are hungry and say to Mom, let's do it afterwards, she goes herself and takes it to the neighbor while it's still piping hot. She says, no, why should I wait till it gets cold? She said, I want to feed them just the way I'm feeding my children. Small things. These are our elders. They don't make women like that and people that, they don't have that nature anymore. Now it's that, oh, you want to give it to the neighbor? Okay. When I wanted that watch, you didn't have money. Now you have money, now you're all rich, and now you want to give biryani to... SubhanAllah. Right? Have the habit of giving. Aisha radiallahu anha says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved sweets and honey. So now you can go to Gulshan Iqbal and buy some barfi from there. Or go to Krispy Kreme and say, buy a dozen instead of doing it for the sunnah.
Not
Israf.
Share with our staff.
Salama radiallahu anha says, I presented a roasted side portion of meat. So, you ever seen a lamb shank? Yeah. The Prophet of Allah loved eating a lamb shank. He would actually bite the meat straight. He wouldn't cut it with the knife, but at times he did use a knife, but it's not that he took the whole shank and just went at it, but it means that the small bone piece that was given to the Prophet, he used his teeth to bite the meat. This is a sunnah. To use your teeth to tear the meat instead of using a fork. Now, why is a teeth far more virtuous than a fork? Is because obviously when you use a fork, there's going to be remnants that remains on the meat that's going to go to waste. If you use your hands or use your mouth, then it minimizes how much meat will be wasted. She said, I gave the Prophet ﷺ a portion of meat. He ate it and thereafter performed salat without performing wudu. Now, for those of you who are wondering what the heck does wudu have to do with him eating, this is actually a very big discussion in the chapters of fiqh. And Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi are of the opinion, in the beginning of Islam, if you ate food that was cooked on fire, any food that was made on top of fire, after eating it, you have to do wudu. Your wudu broke by eating food made on fire. Right? Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah still opts for that opinion. Imam Bukhari is called al-wudu mimma yakul al-nar. Right? That whatever, was cooked on fire, wudu from there. Later on, it became abrogated. Some madahib still opt for this opinion. Now, all of a sudden, everyone doesn't want to go to this madhab anymore now. Before you want to go to all different types of madhabs, but now when you realize that, okay, this madhab doesn't allow me, has to make me do wudu after I eat a chicken tikka, I don't know if I want to do this madhab anymore. Don't pick and choose. Abdullah bin Harith radiallahu anhu says, we ate roasted meat. We had a barbecue in Masjid al-Nabawi. Right? So, roasting meat. What was their roasted meat? Some salt on top of it. They say, النحو في الكلام كالملح في الطعام. There's an Arabic saying. That to learn the grammar of Arabic and how important grammar is in Arabic is just as essential as salt is in food. Back in the day, all they did was a little bit of salt on the food, and mashallah, this is seasoned food. You know, I was thinking the other day, I was driving down the street and I was like, man, Donald Trump, and it's always is like these immigrants and blah, 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 and these Muslims, we should stop them. Christopher Columbus was looking for Shan Masala. And because if it wasn't for Shan Masala, he wouldn't end up in the New World. And if he didn't end up here, Donald Trump wouldn't be running. So based on everything, it's our biryani that inspired America. And if you omit a lot of things in the middle, right? A lot of details, right? And you're very selective. Biryani inspired America. Mughira bin Shu'bah radiallahu anhu says, one night I became a guest with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. Being a guest with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whenever, you see, we have a very special relationship, right? It's on Facebook, it's complicated, right? Our relationship is very special. Student-teacher relationship is one of, after a father and a son or a mother and a daughter, after parents and children relationship, it is the most sacred relationship that exists. It's a very spiritual relationship. It's just not that you would sit in a class and you walk out. But there is a certain connection that exists. And I told you this before, that between you, me, and the Prophet ﷺ, there's an unbroken chain of individuals who narrate each one of these hadith. Right? So there's a very special connection. So anytime your teacher offers you anything, think of it as a ni'mah, as a barakah, that this is coming from my teacher, and keep it. Never ever said, even if it's something small. Our teachers, they would give us a wallahi, I'm not even joking with you, a toothpick. And we would keep it with us that this came from our teacher. That our teacher gave it to us out of love for our teacher. And I'm not saying that toothpick is going to magically make me, rich or something, or bless me. No. But as that this came from our teacher, we keep it close to our heart. One night I became a guest with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of my teachers, may Allah give him a long life, had this habit. Every single day for breakfast, he would invite one student from the class to have breakfast with him. His wife and his children lived in Pakistan, so he stayed alone, and he would eat whatever food was served in the cafeteria to the normal students. And from there, he would feed his students. One time, I was sitting with my teacher, Mufti may Allah give him a long life. And we were sitting down and we were eating. And whenever he loved me a lot out of his students. And whenever something special would come to his house, he would tell me that come home and eat something. And at the same time, I had such a relationship with him that if I ever needed butter or something, I knew the kid that had keys to his house. We'd go, we'd take the butter from his house, the soda from his house, and then 2 weeks later, when we had money, put the soda back, put the butter back. 2 years afterwards, I met him in China. We were in China, we were traveling. I said, Mufti Sahib, I have to ask you for forgiveness. He said, for what? I said, your house was like a Walmart for us. I said, because we knew you didn't know nothing, so whatever we needed, we exchanged. And he started laughing, and he said, no, it's okay. But, so I went to his house once, and we were sitting down and we were eating. And he said, there's some fish, come and have the fish. And you know how our people make fish. There's nice masala, there's a pool of oil that the fish is still swimming in, right? So he said, Wasim Khan, have some fish. I said, okay, I grabbed 1 piece, 2 pieces. There was 1 piece left, a lot of masala and a lot of oil. So he said, finish it. So I said, I took the last piece, and there was still masala with a lot of oil on there. And then he grabbed the plate. And there was some rice, yellow rice. He put the yellow rice in there, on the oil. And then there was some yogurt. He put some yogurt on there too. And then he used to eat with a spoon because his hand was cut. And then there were some samosas. He broke the samosas and put those in there too. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, subhanAllah, look at his simplicity. That this man doesn't want to waste nothing. He's going to eat all that oil. And look at his simplicity. Whatever is left on the table, he's breaking it up, putting it inside there, and mixing it with the spoon. And I am marveling this man's simplicity. And then he says, Wasim Khan, eat this. I ever have a heart attack. One night I became a guest with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time of meals. He was a very simple person. I remember we were in Makkah Mukarramah, and there was a buffet, and it was morning time, and he grabbed some chickpeas. There's a curry, chole and whatnot. He grabbed it, and then instead of getting roti, he picked up pancakes. So I said, I was like, you want to put some syrup on it? He said, no, I'm gonna use it as bread. And I said, no, this is a pancake. He's like, no, this is a bread. And I said, no, you don't eat this with this. He's like, no, you don't understand. I was like, all right, I don't know. To the point that I remember we used to sit at a table. We're in one of the most expensive hotels, in a buffet. And he would sit at the table. You know how people would leave their food? He would say, why is this food going to waste? I was like, let me get you bread. No, let me finish this food. I remember there was this masjid we used to go to. The imam of the masjid was very wealthy, mashallah, in South Africa. So wealthy that the government used to pay his family money because of the land that the government needed to put a highway through. And he was so generous that from his own money, he would feed the community once a month. Everyone, talking about like a couple of hundred people. You know, Allah blessed him. His masjid was pretty dope too. The first saf was heated. Wallahi, the first saf it was a heated first saf, right? And they even accommodated. Now they used to have itikaf, right? South Africa is a very big problem. People who smoke cigarettes. In the masjid, they would have certain bathrooms with exhaust in them for smokers. So when someone's in i'tikaf and they want to change their life and they're addicted to smoking, they can go in the bathroom and smoke, and the circulation can take the smoke out, which I thought was very interesting. So at his masjid, there used to be one huge person that used to sit at the door of the masjid. And as each person would bring the plate, all he would do is eat the remains of that plate so that the food doesn't go into waste. Simple things. I want you to go back home and just look at how much food we waste. Go to a restaurant, how much do we waste? And know that Allah will ask us for every single grain. Because there are children there that are starving. Allah gave you a ni'mah that He took from others to see what you would do with that ni'mah. How you would appreciate that ni'mah. Would you recognize Him? Would you understand Him? Or would you forget Him? How much time do we have left?
17 minutes. Right. To 8, 9.
Yeah, we could probably go to about 9.
17 minutes is left?
That should be right.
That's it?
We'll make it 27 for you.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah. You go.
Mughira bin Shu'ba, one night I became a guest with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At the time of meals, a roasted side portion of meat was served. Side portion means the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked the front left arm of an animal. And gave me to eat. During this period, Bilal radiallahu anhu came and called out the adhan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may his both hands be in dust. This is an Arabic saying, which basically translates in English as damn it. What made him call out the adhan now? He put down the knife and went for salah. The reason is because obviously the Prophet ﷺ said accommodate. Al-asha qabla al-isha. Asha with the fatha on the ayn means dinner. Isha with the kasra on the ayn means prayer. So there's a famous saying that says al-asha qabla al-isha. That have your dinner before praying isha. Eat your isha. The reason is Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi said, أنا أحب أن أجعل طعامي في صلاتي ولا أجعل طعامي في صلاتي. He said, I rather worry about my salah while I'm eating food than worry about my food while I'm praying salah. This does not mean, you know, when I heard this hadith, I was really young, like 15 years old, and I was in boarding school. So I asked the teacher, I said, so you're telling me that if food comes, we should eat the food before the salah? He said, yeah. I said, right. And obviously we were studying in Islamic school, so we had to be there for every salah, on time. Now, there was about 15, 20 of us, maybe even more, maybe 30, because there was about this much stacked boxes of pizza. And I ordered it before Isha Salah, the pizza came. And everyone was bugging out because they know that if they miss the Salah, they're going to get punished. Right? I mean, you guys don't know what punishment is. We usually get punished hardcore. So they were like, man, and I was in the high, even though I was really young, but I was in a higher year of the Alim program. So then they said, oh, we got to go for Salah. And I knew that once it gets cold, right? So I said, no. Look, there's a hadith. And we have to eat right now. They're like, man, I don't know about this. I was like, no. Look, I know the hadith. I studied it. And I even asked the teacher a couple of times. And he said, definitely, he said that you have to eat. He was like, are you sure? I was like, dude, I'll take the blame. I was like, I'll take the fall. I was so confident, right? And now the caretaker who checked the rosters, he wasn't a scholar. So he came and he was like, what the heck? Why are 30 people not there? And you have this kid over here, he was in a higher class, sitting there munching on halal pepperoni pizza, just putting it out there, with all these kids. And I was like, no, there's a hadith, this and that. And he was like, okay. Didn't say nothing, he didn't know. Next day, I get a call to the office. And I'm walking all excited and everything that, you know, that the principal's probably going to tell me that you're right. I tell the caretaker, you're wrong. And these 30 kids are free. I walk in and all excited. He looks at me, he said, you're using the hadith for your own gains? And I was like, huh? And he was like, and he just went off, and I got in so much trouble for that that day. So don't use it for your own gain. That's the purpose of it. Otherwise, I'll relive my bad memories. During this period, so Mughira radiallahu anhu said that my mustache had grown too long. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, come, let me put a miswak on it and then trim it. Or put a miswak on it, basically, whatever hair goes above your upper lip, you trim it. Your miswak should not be eating food with you, right? It's part of your body, but it's not part of your meal. Umar radiallahu anhu used to have a very long mustache like this, and he used to curl up like this. And he used to twist his mustache. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says, meat was sent to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from someone. From it, the forequarter was presented. He loved this portion of the meat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tore the meat with his teeth and ate it. He bit into it. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved the meat of the forequarter. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given poison in the dira portion of the meat. It is suspected that the Jews had poisoned him. I'm pretty sure a good amount of you know the story where the Prophet ﷺ was poisoned, right? The meat told the Prophet ﷺ, it's a very long story and we got so much to cover. At the house, the woman, she knew that the Prophet ﷺ loved a certain portion of meat. She made it, she put poison into it. And she said to Rasulullah ﷺ, and she put the meat there. And the meat spoke to Rasulullah ﷺ. It said, oh Nabi of Allah, do not eat me, for there is poison in it. But the Nabi of Allah, for taqdeer, ate it and said, Allah will stop the poison. So the scholars of Seerah write that Allah had stopped the effect of poison, halted the effect of poison, and at the end, before the Prophet passed away, Allah resumed the effect of poison, so the Prophet ﷺ also got shahada and martyrdom as well. That his death was a martyrdom as well, because Allah had withheld the effect of poison until that time. This is what some of the scholars had written. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved the meat of the forequarter. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given poison in the same meat. Abu Ubaid radiallahu anhu says, I cooked a pot for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I didn't cook pot. I cooked a pot. I don't want you guys going back and saying that brownies are sunnah now. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved the dira a lot. I served him that portion. He then ordered another one. Right? He's saying that there's a pot. I cooked the whole meat in there. Prophet said, give me the front leg. He said, I gave the Prophet one. A little while later, Prophet said, give me another one. He said, I gave him another one. Prophet said, give me another one. An animal only has one. Or two. It doesn't have a third. Prophet said, if you would have just listened to me, till the day of judgment, you would have just been dishing it out. If you would have listened to me, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu, this is a hadith, Allahu Akbar. He comes to the Prophet ﷺ at the time of Khandaq. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, I have some food. It's enough for you and just one more, two more people. Just come to my house and shall eat. This was okay. Prophet gets up. Guys, everybody listen up! All of Khandaq, stop working. Y'all must be hungry. You hungry, right? Yeah, I'm hungry. Alright, we got a party at Jabir's house. And Jabir was like, oh man. And he starts, the hadith says he started swiftly walking from the Prophet because he used to get home first. And as he's running before Prophet, Prophet's walking behind him, and he's like, I'm dead, 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 I'm gonna go. And then first of all these people, then I gotta deal with the wife, I don't know which one's first, what do I have to do? He gets home. And now imagine, you go to your house and you tell your wife or your sister or your mother that I brought a whole group of people, I need food on the table, what are you gonna hear? She's gonna be like, okay, I think in the car there's some groceries, why don't you go grab it? When he goes, he's gonna lock the door behind you and seal it so that you and your friends can eat outside. My father with my mother, one of the reasons I was remarking this a couple of days ago while I was going somewhere, I said the only reason Allah blessed me with ilm is because my mother and father did a lot of khidmat of scholars. My father, we used to live in Jeddah. While my father is leaving Makkah, getting there within an hour, he would call my mother and say that I have 20 people with me, prepare something at home for them. In my life, we've had guests in our house up to 100 people, 150 people in our house. My mother cooked one person for everyone. 10 dishes, fresh everything. I don't remember a guest ever coming to my house and my mother warming up food from the past. Every single time she'd make fresh food, and not just 1, 2 dishes, at least 8 or 9 dishes she'd put there. And when guests would come, she would always pull out plates. I would tell her, Mom, why are you doing this? Take a styrofoam plate. She said, no, they're guests of Allah. Never once did I hear my mother ever in our life complain. My sister, same thing in our house. Everyone knows when I go home, there's always guests at home. Whenever I go to my house in New Jersey, people find out all through the whole night, morning, there are people coming to the house to visit me and whatnot. And there's always food at home that is served. From lamb legs to chicken, you're all invited to my house. To chicken. My sister-in-law, she's from Dallas. Born in America, raised in America. When she came to our house, she didn't even know how to cook eggs properly. She didn't know how to cook eggs properly. But subhanAllah, my mother never ever told her to do anything in the house. It requires, if you want your children to stay at home with you, it requires a big sacrifice. It requires a lot of effort. This isn't India, Pakistan, where the bahu or the daughter-in-law is your property now. No, this is America. Now the same sister-in-law of mine, mashallah, cooks everything. And when my guests come, I don't want to go, I mean, she's my sister-in-law, I don't want to go tell her to cook food. But I don't have to say anything. She knows my guests are coming. Food is already ready for them. I don't have to say, they know that there's somebody in I have my garage is into a masjid. I turn my garage into a masjid and a library. They know that I'm in the garage, someone musalla, someone else is there. They already make everything because this is the atmosphere of the house. That we need to constantly feed people. You know, this woman, she wanted to complain to Ali radiallahu anhu that she needed food. But she didn't want to go and ask. So she went to him and she said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, there are no rats in my house. That's all she said. He said, understood. Send food for her. Someone said, man, she started complaining about the fact that she has no rats. In Crescent Oaks, people complain about having rats. He said that she's complaining about people not having rats. And he said that the reason she says that is because when there's food in the house, there's rats in the house. And the fact that she said there's no rats, her ghairah, her personality did not allow her to say that there's no food at home. And she said this. So subhanAllah, always, whatever you have, give as much as you can. I say these stories to you guys to inspire you guys, to show you guys that it's not difficult. Keep your heart open and Allah will bless you. I was telling Hafiz Iqbal the other day, we were in the car, and I told him that Hafiz, in my life, whenever I order food at any event, whether I'm hosting a party or something, I never look at the price of the food. Whatever it is, whatever people want to eat, I'll order. I'll never ever, if you ever go with me, you'll notice I'll never look at the price. I said, but there's one thing. When I fill up my gas, I look to save 1 penny. I said, I'll travel 2 miles to save that 1 cent. I said, but when it comes to food, I won't care about it. But gas, for some reason, even if it's 1 cent, I'll hunt for it. I served a second one. He then ordered one again. I replied, Ya Rasulullah. So then he goes to the house. Jabir al-Gilar. He says, man. He says, listen, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip. She says, what's going on? She says, the Prophet ﷺ kind of ordered everyone to come. The first thing she said, did the Nabi of Allah know that there's food for only 1, 2 people? Yes. She said, don't worry about it. She said, don't worry about it. Where will you find women today, or men today, anyone today that will say that, don't worry about it? The Rasul, Allah is Razzaq. Allah will bring sustenance. Allah will bring food. SubhanAllah. There was one time in my life that I'm a very, very, Dr. Salan knows, I'm a very, very particular person when it comes to taking favors from people. I don't like anyone doing any favors for me. I don't like anyone doing anything for me. I like even my own parents. I don't like anyone doing anything for me. I like doing everything myself. So even asking money or anything, I'll never ask anyone in my life. Even when I worked one place for 6 months, they didn't pay me for 6 months, I never asked them. Because I don't have the habit of ever asking. Even if it's my haqq, I won't go and ask. It's because I believe that you should never spread your hands in front of anyone. So I was left to my last, I think it was $20 or $50. the last money I had in my pocket. And I said to myself that, man, after this I'm not going to have anything else. There were a couple of students with me. And I said, Ya Allah, I'm going to take them out to eat. Bless this money. They went out to eat. I had nothing. I went out. I said, no, I'll pay. My students, I don't let my students pay for me. So I went and I gave them, I paid for the food. Wallahi, within the next week, Allah gave me $5,000. Within the next week. Same incident happened not too long ago. Again, I was struggling with money. Oh, this story, you're gonna know who would happen with, and I'm not gonna say the story. Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the goat has only 2 dhira'. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Walladhi nafsi biyadi. I swear by the one who holds my soul in his hand. If you kept quiet, you could have served me every time I asked. Aisha radiallahu anha says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked the dhira' portion of meat, not because it was really delicious, but because meat was only available occasionally. And this portion of the meat cooked quickly. The Prophet ﷺ also liked, as it saved time and he could return quickly to his work. That he didn't sit there and say, mashallah, now we have lamb shank and steak today. Let's enjoy. And the Prophet says, I like it because it's quick to eat. I don't like it because it tastes so good. I like it because it's quick to eat. We, subhanAllah, our people, our home people, I'm going to keep on saying, don't say that Mufti Sahib is very sexist, he's saying the women have to cook. I'm not saying this. So whether you cook at home or your men cook at home, I'm just using women analogy, because that's predominant. That's why, so don't say that, I'm imposing cooking at home or any of these, don't alter my words. Aisha radiallahu anha says that we go home, and our women folk, family members, they take hours to prepare a meal. And we get up without even thanking them. We get up without cleaning our dishes. I had a friend, his name was Nadir. I don't know where he went, but he was an amazing person. He was African American, and he was born Muslim, his father had converted. So anyway, it's a long story, but he said something very beautiful to me. He said, man, at our house when my mom cooks food or whenever we eat, he said, we wash our dishes ourselves. And I said, from a Desi perspective, your mom does everything for you, right? Your mom picks out your clothes, your mom picks out your wife, your mom picks out your life, does everything for you, right? So then I told him, I said that, he said, why should my mother wash the dish that I ate in? It won't kill you to get up, and it takes 2 seconds. If each person just washed their own dish, look at how much effort would decrease from someone else's life. Someone would thank them, save them. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man lam yashkur nas lam yashkur Allah." If you don't thank people, you didn't thank Allah. Don't just say Alhamdulillah. Thank the person. Let them feel good every single day. Whatever you eat, even if the food is not good, say, "Oh, mashallah, the food is really, really good." Next time you can say that, perhaps hide the salt a little bit or hide the spice a little bit. But everyone has their accidents, and be positive. It encourages someone to do more. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also liked adhan. Abdullah bin Ja'far radiallahu anhu says, when my time is done, just let me know. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best meat is the meat of the back portion, right? The people who are involved in the meat business, they'll tell you that the meat that's in the back is the best, is because it doesn't do any effort, so it's not firm. It's very, very tender. So if anyone wants to invite for steak later on, any tips over here. Abu Musa Ash'ari radiallahu anhu says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the virtue of Aisha above all the women, فضل عائشة على النساء كفضل الثريد على سائر الطعام. Prophet ﷺ said the virtue of Aisha above all women is the virtue of tharid. Tharid is this dish where you basically take bread, you break it up, and you have curry, and you have meat. So you take this bread, you drop it in the curry, pieces of the bread, and you eat it. This is called, this is sunnah. The Prophet loved this dish. Why? It's because it had included everything. You didn't need to take a bread, dip, everything was ready. It was like those Stouffer meals, or Blue Apron. Everything is ready for you. Microwavable, right? The Prophet ﷺ loved it was because it was very simple. Tharid. Our teacher who taught me this hadith, every year, whenever he would teach this hadith, he was Afghan, so they had their special bread too. He would make tharid for the entire class. And he would feed them tharid and say that this is the sunnah food to eat. I would feed you tharid, but I heard ISUH doesn't have no eating policy here.
This room is alright though.
Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says that he once saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat a piece of cheese, then perform wudu. Why? Cheese comes from an animal. Then he saw him eat another time, eat a shoulder of a goat, and perform salat without performing wudu. So first one was not cooked on fire, but he performed wudu. Second one was. So it shows that the Prophet ﷺ later on in his life did not perform wudu on food that was cooked on a stove. One of the hikmats or the wisdom of why wudu was mandated was that after a person eats food, they become lazy. Right? And they don't want to do anything. So the Prophet ﷺ mandated wudu was so that you understand that you have to go back and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't just think that now it's a break, now you can just chill for the night. Now again, look at this. Rasulullah ﷺ was not sexist. But oh, how could he come? I was in Maryam Masjid a week or two ago, and I mentioned a hadith about how one Sahabi said that he had multiple wives, and then another Sahabi came and he said that whichever one you like, I will divorce her, and then I will give. Someone wrote us a question. They said this is such a sexist hadith. How can you give a woman away? I said, first of all, I don't want to go into details. I gave Dr. Jonathan Brown the question. I said, because you're white, I'll explain it, they'll agree with whatever you say. I said, whatever I said, they're not going to listen to it. I said, I knew I was going to get objected on this hadith too. First of all, he divorced her, but it's still the woman's right if she wants to get married to this person or not. Right? It's not that he forced her to the marriage, he gave her freedom, number one. Number two, if you're married to someone, you're the second wife of someone, you'd rather be the exclusive wife of someone else. Right? One thing is being a second wife, one thing is being a spare tire, and one thing is being bae. Right? There was another, I didn't want to use another word, but you get the picture. Right? You don't want to be the side chick, right? You want to be the main one. Cheese. Again, the Prophet ﷺ liked cheese. He ate cheese. One of his walima was cheese. So if you want to have pizza at your next party, you can somehow say it's sunnah. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, how much time do we have left?
8 minutes.
Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam celebrated the walima of Safiya radiallahu anha with dates and sawiq. Sawiq is some type of sweet material. It's some type of halwa, right? Sawiq is a halwa. Now, okay, this is for, if you haven't signed up last week, is this the sign up sheet?
Yeah, if it's
if
not
you
on
haven't
there
signed up
last
last week, do sign up, please. So for future events, programs, we have a list of people, we can shoot you a message. We won't spam you unless they're Hajj advertisements.
With discounts.
With discounts, inshallah. Salama radiallahu anha says that my father is a very, has anyone met my father here? No, you haven't seen him for that program? He's a very, very candid and straightforward person. Someone came and asked him, they said, Haji Sahib, you want to go for Hajj, can you give us a discount? He said, that Hajj is not fard on you. But my father is a very, very, very real person. He takes advantage of his white beard. Someone asked me today, they thought Hafiz al-Bab thought my father was older than him. My father is younger than Hafiz al-Bab. But Hafiz al-Bab for 5 years has been thinking my father is older than him. And he's like, oh, so now I can tell your father off? I was like, you can try. No, my father had a lot of respect for Hafiz. He said, no, Hafiz. Salma radiallahu anha says, again, look, this was a walima. Imagine having a walima with just dates and sawiq. You don't have a walima with a bunch of dates. Then your marriage is not going to last. You have a bunch of dates in your wedding. It's the simplicity. And we need to, once you make nikah expensive, you make zina cheap. When you make nikah expensive, you make zina cheap. And this is the reality. The Muslim ummah is engrossed in zina. Why? It's because they don't have an outlet. Because mashallah, in order to be married, you have to have an established job, you need to have, mashallah, an established house, you need to have health care insurance that you paid for 10 years. Mashallah, you have to have 2 kids ready that that you're experienced in handling. And you need to have some side business, a 401k, some investments back at home, just in case Donald Trump becomes president. SubhanAllah. Don't make nikah so difficult, so expensive. We're talking about the next generation. Once a person commits adultery, that remains with them. No matter how much you try to ignore that, that sticks with you, right? You can tell people don't commit adultery, or you can give them a solution so they don't commit it. The Sahaba, divorce is something that's terrible. We should avoid it. However, when someone becomes divorced, it doesn't mean they become a refurbished item or a used item now. And now they're not. All the Prophet's wives were divorced. when a person wants to get married, don't look at oh, she has to be, mashallah, single, virgin, and mashallah, she needs to have a hijab on, and mashallah, no man must have seen her ever in his life, and she must have never seen any other man besides her father. Subhanallah, don't make things difficult. Make marriage simple, ask Allah for barakat, do your homework, and again, with in-laws as well, if you're parents or something, don't make it difficult on your children. It also does not mean that you're completely irresponsible, you're dropping out in school and you're selling dime bags on the street and you're saying, I want to make nikah simple. That's not, an alternative either. Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Ja'far radiallahu anhu came to her and said, to Salma radiallahu anha, that cook for us the food that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked and ate with pleasure. Go home and say to your wife or to your family members that make food that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once a week we're going to eat tareed. Once a week we're going to eat what the Nabi of Allah ate. So that one thing is you hear about the seerah, live the seerah. I was walking with a Christian friend of mine today. He always stops by Madrasa Islamiyya and tells me about his visions. Very nice person. Very, very loving person, mashallah. So while we were walking, he said to me, once I told him, I said that, hey man, I'll be very honest with you. Historically, there's no book that has been memorized as much as the Quran and preserved as much as the Quran. Like, you can't find me people who have memorized the Bible anywhere near to the people that have memorized the Quran. He might come next week for the class. So I told him that a couple of weeks back. So today while he was walking, and I knew where he was coming from. He said, I don't remember what he called me. Whatever he called me, he said that, you know how you guys memorize the Quran? We live our scriptures. This is a beautiful thing to say. Right. Live the hadith. One thing is, oh, mashallah, the Prophet stayed hungry. Maulana Sahib is sitting on the mimbar. Mashallah, his stomach is overrolling. He's got 8 rolls on him. And he's burping. And mashallah, he ate 2 omelets in the morning with 3 paratas and halwa and puri and chole. And mashallah, he's burping. And he's telling you, brothers, what can I tell you about the hunger of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Mashallah. Right? Live it yourself. Right? Live it yourself. Our teacher used to say that double omelette dabakar dakar lete buhurera ki bhuk ke baare mein keh rahe. So what are people going to understand about this? Live the hunger of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one day, just eat dates. One day, just go to your wife and say, today's a date day. She says, yes, she's all excited, put on a date and everything, and put on a little kajur there, say, Bismillah. And if you forget in the middle, say, Bismillah wa akhiru. That pit afterwards might be used as a weapon. So get pitless dates. Cook for us the food that the Nabi of Allah liked, and he ate with pleasure. She replied, oh my children, who is this? Hassan radiallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Ja'far as-Sadiq, the one whose hands were cut off. I went to his grave in Mufti as well. That's a story for another time. She's telling the grandson of the Prophet, the cousin of the Prophet, that you guys can't stomach this. The Sahaba, they each saw the Prophet. And he said, you can't stomach what the Prophet used to stomach. You don't have it in you. You can't do it. The challenge, fear factor. You can't accept this challenge. They replied, of course we will like it because the Rasul of Allah liked it. Our like has nothing to do with the food, but because we will reminisce that my Nabi used to eat like this. When you break up in a relationship, you don't go to that restaurant, you remember that, oh, I was with him or I was with her at this restaurant. When your family member passes away, you go to a special restaurant, you order a special meal and you say, my mother used to like this, my father used to like this, she used to like this, he used to like it, subhanallah. You reminisce in it. And over here the Sahaba said that we want to reminisce that the Nabi of Allah used to like it. We want to indulge in it as well. She got up and took a bit of barley. She crushed it in a pot, poured a little bit of olive oil over it, then crushed some chilies and spices and added it to the pot and served it, saying, this is what the Prophet ﷺ loved. Imagine someone made a dish like that. Halim. Subhanallah, Halim. That's something new today. The Prophet liked Halim. Right? So something very, very simple, like oats. Jabir bin Abdullah radiallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to our house, we slaughtered oat. Back to the Jabir bin Abdullah hadith, I forgot, you guys never told me, I didn't complete it. So he goes home, she said, did the Rasul of Allah know? Yes. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, don't uncover the pot until I don't come. He came to the pot, he put his hand on top of it, and he read a dua. And after that, he served everyone. I don't remember how many people there are. Some narrations say 60, some say over 100, some say even up to 1,000. He fed them all. And Jabir ibn Abdullah says, afterwards, we thought that there is more food than we actually cooked. We thought that there was more food left in the pot than we actually cooked. The Prophet put his hand and he read a dua. If anyone knows what the dua is, let me know. We'll open a restaurant together. We slaughtered a goat in his honor. Rasulullah ﷺ said, it is as if they knew we adore meat. This shows that if someone comes to your house, cook food that they like. You know, I knew one person, he went to his in-law's house. He was a horrible husband. I know he was a horrible husband. And when he went to his in-law's house, his mother-in-law made a dish for him. And she grinded about 27 chilies in there. And she said to him that, I grinded 27 chilies in here for you. So don't try to kill your guests, no matter how terrible they are. I was in South Africa, and there was an Indonesian friend of mine that used to cook food for us. I used to bring the chicken and the eggs and the rice, and he would cook it. He was a really good cook. He could make eggs taste like chicken. Or we were just really hungry, one or the other. So this man, same thing. I was like, listen, Irfan, man, you make food too spicy, I can't handle it. Make it a little less spicy. He said, oh, I got you. And then like next thing I know, how much spicy? But I put only 10 chilies in there. It's like 2 people's food, man. And he's like, it's not spicy at all. And they would crush chilies and put chilies on top of food made with chilies. It was like chili ala chili, nurun ala nur. Munzir radiallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam visited me, Ali radiallahu anhu was with him. We had some bunches of dates hanging. Dates that are attached to the bark. Ali radiallahu anhu said, also began eating with him. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped him and saying, hey, calm down. Munzir radiallahu anhu says, so he said that you just recovered from a sickness, you shouldn't eat this. This means that it's okay to have a diet. It's okay to watch what you're supposed to eat. Don't just eat, you came out of a hospital, you came out of a sickness or something, and mashallah you're eating ice cream. No. وَإِنَّ لِجَسَدِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٌّ. The Prophet of Allah said your body has a right on you. So don't just eat and drink whatever you feel like eating and drinking, but be conscious of what you're eating and drinking. Ali radiallahu anhu stopped eating, and the Prophet continued eating. Munzir radiallahu anhu says, I then cooked some barley and beetroot. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Ali radiallahu anhu, eat this, it is suitable for you. I made some chicken corn soup. He said, this is more better for you.
Time's up.
Time's up. There's 3 hadiths left. Overtime a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
Al-Mu'mineen radiallahu anha said that Aisha radiallahu anha says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by the way, this is last week's lesson. We didn't even start this week's lesson yet.
Oh, that just means we can go one more week, right?
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to come to me and ask if there was any food available. When I would say no, this is a very important hadith. The Prophet would come home. This is a nafil fast. A nafil fast. We'll do it next week. This is a long discussion. Inshallah. Any questions?
Where are you going to eat?
Yes?
Where are we going to eat?
Where are we going to eat?
On that note, there's food right outside. There's rice, butter chicken, there's dessert. and stuff.
Is there bread there?
I'm
We
not
should
sure.
let
I'm
it
not
go.
sure.
Throw that bread in the butter chicken. Inshallah.
Mixed it all.
If there's no questions, then you guys can.
Wait, before everybody's. From last week, you said, the Prophet ﷺ used to put oil in his head. Is there like a specific oil he used to put, or?
Olive oil. Don't put canola oil. Definitely don't put curry oil.
I had one,
Yes.
which was raised last week, about the Prophet ﷺ coming in dreams. Is it still?
That will be the last lesson we do, inshallah. The last chapter of this book is seeing the Prophet in your dream.
So inshallah, 2 more weeks then?
It's the end of March.
End of March.
End of March,
All right.
inshallah.
End of March. March of 2017.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Verbal hustle.
So Jazakallah Shaykh again for
Inshallah.
making yourself available to us. We benefit a lot. In April, inshallah, we'll be having a 1-day intensive on April 3rd, which is a Sunday, from 2 p.m. till 9 p.m., which is tazkiyah, or purification of the heart. So come out. We're going to have we've figured out the food situation, but we'll have it figured out inshallah by that time. But come out inshallah, join us. We'll have to take a break for dinner and whatnot and all that. But I'll put more details on the website, roicmasjid.org, and then I'll send you more information. Make sure you put your email addresses on the sheet that's passed around, and we'll get that out to you, inshallah. And yeah, that's it. Jazakallah. Oh, wait, one more thing. Quran class. We will be starting this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. For anybody that wants to learn how to recite the Quran or perfect their tajweed or master their Quran recitation skills, wherever in the spectrum you are, it doesn't really matter. As long as you want to learn, come inshallah and join us. And that's also go to roicmasjid.org/Quran and register if you can. Jazakallah and thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Anyone else? Any questions? Sister side? Brother side? Yes.
When you say the narrator maybe perhaps forgot something, are you talking about the companion or the narrators in between?
Sometimes it's the narrators in between. It's generally the narrators in between. Very rarely is it the Sahabi himself. Because the way these books are written is that when Imam Tirmidhi writes this hadith, he just doesn't write the hadith. You're not seeing the whole hadith. What Imam Tirmidhi actually does is that he says, Haddathana, so and so, Haddathana. He said, I heard from them. For every hadith, he will tell you all of his teachers to the Prophet ﷺ, for every single hadith. That's how these books are written. And if a book is not written, if a hadith is not written like this, the hadith is not accepted. If the scholar penning the hadith does not write every one of his teachers to the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith is not accepted. If there's any single hadith in the galaxy of hadith that does not have a chain of narration, it's not accepted. Every single hadith must have a chain of narration. Anyone else? Okay, go enjoy your butter chicken.
Jazakallah.
Pay for the food.